Tell the Joshman crash out. Someone needs to tell the Joshman crash out story.
We rushed to hospital. Josh had like a clean fracture in his bicep.
Now, obviously, we thought that meant best in Australia. We didn't mean one of the best players in the whole world.
He's looking at me with my chocolate in his mouth. I didn't think you would notice.
And he wins the Pocket Marth game. And to this day, I don't remember doing this, but that might be the secret for Josh. Should I go? And Josh is like, no, you're good. And I'm like, you kind of do need to go.
And he calls his dad and he's got tears in his eyes. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I want to keep playing tournaments. I don't know if the dream is dead. I don't know if this is even good for me.
Wow. I don't like this. This feels wrong. Look at me. This is better? So when I first met Josh, I didn't really actually like him. We were kind of enemies, actually. It was BAM 8. Tori was getting kind of pounded. We kind of historically always lost to Sydney. Hometown hero, Captain Falcon player Scally Tom, he had one stock left versus this guy who had been put on the crew at the last minute, like she wasn't on the roster. But somebody dropped out, and this guy, Sora, this 6'3" Greek child at the time, I think he was 17, came onto the stage and he was so excited to play, and he had 4 stocks versus Scally Tom's 1, and it was kind of close. And he barely didn't get 4-stocked by Tom, and he popped off in front of the whole Vic crowd. He got out of his chair and he was like, yay! He was so happy, and nobody, like, it was just to a crowd of silent, angry Vic fans. And I remember being so tilted in my chair that he popped off on Scally Tom that I was like, fuck this guy. And so I coached my friend, PCG. He had to play him in bracket. And I sat there for like 45 minutes coaching him, being like, this is how you're gonna beat this Sora guy. And then he beat him. And that was the last that I saw of Sora for a long time.
He went from like pretty humble beginnings to like one of the goats of Australia. And I think when that all changed for me would probably have to be around SXC, I think it was 2016 or 2017. There were words of sponsors at that event, so I was like really on my A game, you know, trying to in it to win it. Yeah, so what my memory of that is, I went into a money match with Josh beforehand because we had a bit of a beef after a previous set had gone his way. And I kind of wiped the floor with him. And I was thinking, this guy, you know, he's really not that much of a threat. But you know, people often underestimate Josh's will to win at all costs. So anyway, it got to Championship Sunday and we were both in winner's side of the bracket and we're playing some friendlies. And Josh, that resourceful son of a bitch, he just walks up to me and just sack taps me right in the nuts. And I would say the rest is history.
We lived together for quite a few years, but during that time, it was his first time where he moved out of home. One of the, we laugh about it now, is an experience that we had where, you know, I was younger back then, he was younger, first time moved out of home. I buy myself treats, I bought some chocolate. So I'd get home from work, I've gotten ready after work, you know, I'll treat myself a little bit, I'll go have some of my chocolate. And I've walked out of my bedroom and my bedroom had a direct line to where the fridge was. And I've looked and I see Josh in the fridge and he turns around and he's looking at me with my chocolate in his mouth. And I'm like, Josh, what are you doing? And he was like, oh, I didn't think you would notice. And I ripped into him. Didn't hear the end of it, and he still doesn't hear the end of it. If I see him, I still give him shit for having just no idea when it comes to, something about the fact that he was like, oh man, like if you didn't catch me, it would have been fine. Oh, I chased him down.
A couple months later, I'm in Sydney for a tournament. Lo and behold, I have to play Josh. He comes up, a goofy 17-year-old, somehow 6'3" already. No beard though, so he looks like a little baby. And he sits down next to me, picks Fox, we play game 1, and I win game 1. Game 2, he counterpicks Marth on FD, which at the time, I don't know if I was just a super ego lord or what, but I was like, that's this guy, like pocket Marth, like get the fuck out of here. Anyway, he beats me on FD, and he actually still teases me about this to this day. Apparently I lent to him and went, off to Dreamland. And he'll still pick Dreamland against me today and be like, off to Dreamland. I remember comfortably winning and walking away being like, that little punk, screw that guy.
Neutral Loaf. I can talk about Neutral Loaf as well. I had a poor person meal, is what I used to make, which was just mincemeat, canned vegetables, canned beans, rice, just slop. And I showed Josh how to make it once and I was like, cool, this is like, he'll start cooking and he'll like, you know, maybe want to cook other things, that's fine. And so he proceeded to then make this same dish no matter what, every single week, every time he had to cook. That was the only thing he knew how to cook, was the only thing he did cook. When I asked him, Josh, maybe you cook something else, he would go like, oh no, but I like Neutral Loaf. Me, sick of eating Loaf because I had made it enough years in a row, and he kept making it every single week. And like Loaf, if we can find a picture of this and show it, it'll be disgusting. It's like gray. We threw like paprika and other random spices without thinking about it, and there was this just gray puddle of like mince meat, random veggies, beans, and rice. And I don't know if he still makes it, but he does still talk about it because I've heard him talk about it on stream before. Maybe I'll make it for him for a treat. That'll be his birthday present next time I see him.
When Josh was at his physical peak in 2022, because he was preparing for the Mogul Moves Melee Smash Boxing event, he kind of fancied himself as a bit of a fighter, a bit of a tumbler, a bit of a strong man. Little old me and Josh, we've always had a bit of a rivalry when it comes to like pretty much anything. We decided to arm wrestle because Josh was feeling really large and in charge. So I grabbed Josh's arm and like grip his hand tightly, you know? And not in like a, like we've always had that kind of connection, but this was different. This was like aggressive. This was me against him, life or death. And neither of us was really prepared to let go. Maybe we should do a live reenactment. And I'm losing, right? I'm on my last legs here. My arm is bent back because Josh is too powerful. He's been training too much. I hear this ungodly, hellish crack. You know, the rest is a bit of a blur because we rushed to hospital. Josh had like a clean fracture in his bicep, in his like something femur. And we ended up having to hang out with Josh for a few weeks longer in Australia because he wasn't able to make it to the Smash Boxing event.
When I was first getting into Melee, I remember Josh invited me over to play at his house. Nothing could have prepared me for what his grandparents were like, because he was trying to like usher me upstairs and like to game with him, but constantly his Zhye was just being like, oh, can I get you anything? Can I, like, let me, like, have this, like, try this out, and just trying to give me food constantly. And then I was like, no, it's all good, it's all good. And I'm just like, oh, I just want some water. And she's like, it's just not gonna cut it, right? Water's not gonna cut it. So she just pulls out this mystery juice from her fridge, and she's like, you need to try this. And I look at Josh, and I'm like, I don't know what this is. This is kind of scary, but I'm like, I'm actually kind of down. And I remember having it, and it was just so good, and it had no brand on it. And I'm like, I don't know where she's got it from, but that might be the secret for Josh. It might be the juice. Months later, I ran into a slightly older Sora at DIAD2. We were staying in Perth with our friend Sundowns. Both of us had no housing, and we had a few days to kill. I don't know, neither of us were flying out or something. It was kind of like Step Brothers. Like, at first we were like, fuck this guy. And then something happened where I was like, oh, I kind of like Leffen's gameplay too. We're watching a VOD or something. Just have to spend time with this guy in a living room because it's like, oh, the only thing we have to do is chucking on a VOD or something. And then it was just like, over the course of that next 2 days, we were like, did we just become best friends? And we invented this mini game on Melee. That was kind of the catalyst of it. Dunkin' Dogs, 4 people pick Marth, Congo Jungle, and it's only Marth down there on NTSC. We played it with Sundowns, and I remember we were on different teams. And then we ended up on the same team, and we kind of became close friends after that. Like, after that weekend, we left begrudging friends, and we've kind of been hanging out ever since.
Josh has always like flamed me when we play Melee, but one time I was playing versus Falco, and he was getting mad at me for shield grabbing, and then there was a particular shield grab that I did that he just crashed out at. Well, he didn't crash out, but he like scoffed, and he's like, ugh. And then I paused the game and looked at him, and I pointed at him, and I was like, you did a bad aerial on my shield. And that was the only time I've ever stood up to him. And he shut the fuck up after I said that.
It was the last day. My flight was at 5 p.m. or so back to Melbourne. And I said to him, hey Josh, I'm going out for lunch just to catch up with a friend from Sydney. I'll be back at 1, and then we need to film this video. Should take a couple hours. So yeah, I'll be back at 1. We'll film from like 1 to 3, and then we're good to go. Is that cool with you? He was like, yep, perfect. I get back from lunch. He's invited a friend over, and they're watching Arcane on his living room couch. And I was like, oh, hey man. He's like, oh, what's up? And I was like, do you want to like film that stuff? And he's like, now? And I was like, yeah, kinda. And then the friend looks at him and he's like, should I go? And Josh is like, no, you're good. And I'm like, you kind of do need to go. I think everyone has some sort of story about like similar to that with Josh, but everyone just finds it so endearing and just likes him more for it, which don't think there are many people that can do that and just be as near and dear to your heart.
We ended up teaming at this tournament, and we won, but it was a bit of a struggle actually. We had moments where we looked like the best team in the world, and moments when we're like, what are you doing? But my story begins after grand finals, which Joshman lost to me. It's one of my only wins on Joshman, so I cherish it very much. And he actually got beaten pretty bad. There were a couple of 4-socks in there. He wasn't quite at the level he is now, that's for sure. But Joshman calls his dad. I wasn't in the room for this. I was told later by Joshman what had happened. And he calls his dad, and he's got tears in his eyes because he's just taken a loss in grand finals, a pretty bad one, and he's considering his whole melee future, right? He's telling his dad, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I want to keep playing tournaments. I don't know if the dream is dead. I don't know if this is even good for me. And of course, his dad hearing that is like hearing his child in pain and says, well, you should stop, you know? If you're not enjoying it, don't play the game. But it's funny that all these years later, Josh would, go on through what he did. You could tell he was like, had that whiplash. No matter what anyone told him, he knew he was going to keep going and become one of the top players in the world. We decided to try to predict who's going to be the next big player. And a lot of us thought, it was pretty common. I think it wasn't just me, but quite a few people said Joshman is going to be the next big thing. Now, obviously, we thought that meant best in Australia. We didn't mean one of the best players in the whole world. But it's pretty cool to see him come this far.